budget looks like this year. The finance bill essentially is the fuel. Okay, I'm sorry to use that because I know fuel is another issue. Yeah. But if the finance bill essentially is the fuel for this budget, right? Is one that's going to tell you this is where we're going to get all the money from. That's what the finance bill essentially is. Mm-hmm. But if we look at the budget, and perhaps you can tell us because you've done some heavy research, you've looked into the numbers, and we'll start with you, Diana. But I mean, we're looking at 4.82 trillion shilling total expenditure in the next financial year, which starts on the 1st of August. 1.11 trillion is the budget deficit. Means that the government is going to borrow 1.1 trillion shilling to meet budget. Debt servicing is about 1.5 trillion, consuming over 30%. So of this 4.8 trillion shillings, 30% of it is going towards paying debt.
Yes.
Right? Education remains the biggest beneficiary, continuing investment in CBC, universities, teacher funding, things like that. Infrastructure and transport, major allocations continue for roads, logistics, and energy projects under the government's growth strategy. These are numbers or forecasts that were given to them by the different departments. So they said, okay, you need this money? Put it into the budget. Why not? Okay. Healthcare, more funding targeted toward universal healthcare and hospital systems, trying to put those things in place. Agriculture and MSMEs, Treasury says the budget supports food production, value addition, and small business financing under the Better Agenda. So somewhere in there, the Better Agenda is still ongoing. Energy and fuel pressure. Rising global oil prices linked to Middle East tensions have forced government to temporarily reduce fuel VAT from 16 to 8%. But there's some major concerns that are being heard here. High debt burden. You should not be paying 30% of your total budget towards debt paying. Heavy borrowing. Still should not be borrowing 1.11 to meet budget deficit. Cost of living still high. While you look at the macro, the micro is being ignored. Development spending concerns. Treasury acknowledged and development expenditure is slightly below the Public Finance Management Act target. Do these things kind of make sense, Diana? And even as Tom is going to look at some of the numbers for us, when we're looking at this, is there a problem? It looks like everything is covered here.
Because there is no problem. Mm-hmm. We are a rich country. We can afford 4.82 trillion. Mm-hmm. That's our budget. Mm-hmm. Our cabinet secretary will read the budget in parliament when all the other ministers for East Africa read. Mm-hmm. And proudly we will say we have the biggest budget this year. Now, do we need 4.82 trillion? That is one of the big questions. Mm-hmm. And if you look at 2023, mm-hmm. the budget was 3.7 trillion.
Yes.
In 2 years, we've needed to grow our budget by 1.1 trillion. Yeah. That's over 30% mm-hmm. growth. Mm-hmm. That's the budget growth. What's the economic growth? Mm-hmm. Is it even double digit?
No.
No. Why is our budget growing by double digits while our growth and the benefits of social services, the relief of roads and things like that is not commensurate? You've rightly highlighted that one, our budget is a very good mix. 2.8 trillion, 2,800. Wacha tuende na hiyo hesabu. Our budget is 4,800. Do you understand a trillion?
No, let's use the 2,800.
We use the 4,800. 2,800 goes to the executive. Okay? Mm-hmm. 1,500 goes to repay debt, interest, and to pay a bit of pension, 1,500. Mm-hmm. So you have 4,800. 2,800 has gone to the national government. You're left with 2,000. 1.5 goes to repay debt and 1,500.
So you have 500 remaining.
Yes. Then the rest of the budget, 400, goes to counties. Mm-hmm. How much do you have now?
100.
Then we give Parliament 50. Then we give the judiciary 30. That budget is over. So it may look very, very rosy, mm-hmm. but essentially it just means that as we do that particular calculation, we've only calculated the interest, the debt interest repayment. The principal redemption is another 1,000. A trillion somewhere will need to be repaid in principal repayment. So when we say we have a 1,100 in deficit, it's not true. It's higher than that. How much do we, now that's the budget. That's our dream. But how much money are we saying we are going to raise? We are saying we are going to raise 3,600. 3.6 trillion.
If we manage to.
If we manage to, yes. And that particular revenue is a combination of what is coming from the taxes. We are also going to get appropriations in aid. Appropriations in aid is what you will pay when you're getting your title deed.
Okay.
We will now need to inspect cars every 4 years. NTSA. Cars that are older than 4 years. The amount you will pay, that's appropriation in aid. We are proposing to increase e-citizen fees
from 50 to
100, things like that.
Okay.
We will the cost of IDs, that's appropriation in aid. That cumulatively is what we hope to raise 3,600 in revenue. Okay. Of that revenue, there are even grants inside. There are grants inside there. I'm just trying to get the exact breakdown. Some people will give us some little money. Some people will. Ordinary revenue for this year, we are expecting 2.9 trillion, 2,900. Then ministerial appropriation in aid, about 632. So in total, that's why we are saying 3,600. 3.6 trillion. 2023, our budget was 3.7 trillion. This year, we will raise 3.6 trillion and we will still have a deficit. Can we continue as a country budgeting with such a deficit?
Wait. In 2026, we are still unable to raise the budget for the country in 2023.
Yes.